Good afternoon. I want to talk to you about something really serious this afternoon. No, it's not the war on terror, it's not a cure for cancer, and it's not the economic mess that we find ourselves in. I want to talk to you about how to be a Chicago Cubs baseball fan and still remain happy and productive in life. Being a Cubs fan takes a lot of dedication and a lot of loyalty. It's a hard job, and sometimes you wish that you could just quit, but somehow it gets into your blood. The same thing happens to us year after year after year. We lose. So we have to make sure that we have some kind of mechanism together so that we don't get too frustrated and too angry and too disappointed with our life. Our time today is going to be spent discussing some things you can do so that your life can remain happy and productive while remaining a Chicago Cubs baseball fan. You must remember, there'll always be next year. Don't expect them to win. Attend as many ball games as possible at beautiful Wrigley Field. Be happy that they've won in the past. And finally, remind yourself that someday it's going to happen again. Hi, my name is Larry Manzella, and yes, I've been a Cub fan since my mom wrapped me in a Chicago Cubs blanket and brought me home from the hospital. This always struck me as a little odd because, frankly, I was born in the middle of July, but I suppose that's for another speech. My father was a die-hard Sox fan, so it made growing up in my house really, really interesting. So how does a Cub fan become happy? Here are a few tips on how to remain positive and happy as a Chicago Cubs fan. Number one, they'll always be next year. This is a slogan that all true Cub fans are aware of, and frankly, you should use this at least 2 or 3 times every year. Even though they're losing now, you can watch them do it all over again next year. That's the great thing about the Cubs. They never change. Okay, they'll always be next year, but you ask, what can I do now? Number 2, don't expect them to win. This is something I learned very early in my life. If you expect them to win, you're going to be disappointed and heartbroken when they lose. You won't feel that way if you don't expect anything out of them. Although it's a really hard thing to do, it is possible. After years of watching this team lose, you have to come up with some way to be able to cope without falling into a mode of depression. And besides that, when the Cubs finally do win, you're going to be a whole lot happier because you didn't expect them to. But you say, I like watching the Cubs. I like watching them play. And to this I would say, great. Go to as many ball games at Wrigley Field as possible. Although they're going to lose when you go, Wrigley is still the best field out there. It's an absolutely amazing place to visit. You can get a Coke now for $8.50, and only half of it has ice in it. What a place. You can also meet a lot of other fans while you're there, and you're all going to be feeling the same pain. So you can relate to them and have a good time cheering the Cubs on. You say, you know, when I get home from Wrigley Field after a Cub loss, I just want to cry. I would say to you, be happy that they've won in the past. They've won 2 World Series in the past, the way distant past, but it could be a lot worse. They could have never won. Now I know that everyone wants them to win during their lifetime, but let's face it, a lot of people have been born and died without ever seeing it. It's important that we always look forward, because looking back, frankly, is just too painful. Number 5, I want you to remind yourself that someday, it's going to happen. Eventually, they have to win, right? We hope so. Maybe. Well, we can dream, right? Now, will these tips help? Probably not. But such is the life of a Chicago Cubs fan. Hopefully this speech will put your mind at ease and make you realize that even though you were born a fan of the Chicago Cubs, you too can still have fun in life. So remember all of the tips that were mentioned. They'll always be next year. Don't expect them to win. Attend as many ball games as possible at beautiful Wrigley Field. Be happy that they've won in the past. And finally, remind yourself often that someday, someday, it's going to happen again. It's so hard to like a team that loses all the time, but some of us just don't have a choice in the matter. So in closing, go Cubs!